All right. So let's see if I can actually get you guys on my screen again. Well, my computer is like really struggling right now. As long as you can see it, we'll go from there. So um, I left this, we're going to really talk about the approach that we took to launch Yammer. And I left this as the title, the enabling our people, our priorities, and our culture, because this is what we went out and talked to leadership about throughout the company to get Yammer launched. We launched Yammer this year. It's been a huge success, super excited about it. And we're going to kind of walk through, what was that positioning? How did we do it? And then kind of followed up with the numbers, which I'm super excited about the numbers that we've had. So we've been trying to launch Yammer for many, many years here, and it was kind of one of the key priorities for me coming into Comcast. So it was exciting to get this done. So really the vision, with the pandemic, obviously it just really shined a light on the need for the business case to get Yammer out the door, for the sense of community connection and just all the disconnection from everyone being at home. So really, that was kind of the vision, to bring that sense of community. So why are we launching Yammer? We saw a lot of, leaders and communicators just really using a whole bunch of variety of different ways to try to reach out to all these employees, and the disconnection. And really, we needed a kind of secure unified platform across the company to get out to our employees. And leaders were using just all these different variety of methods. And we're pretty secure here at Comcast. Obviously, it's what we do. And everyone was just using all of these third-party tools to just really get their messaging across, and we needed to kind of bring it together. So really, that was a big thing, that the why Yammer. So, and you could think about the use cases for Yammer, like we have the ERGs, the employee resource groups, which we know were really a key driver for engagement across during the whole pandemic. And the ERGs were just awesome. Another use case for us is like the call centers. Everyone's at home. We have thousands and tens of thousands of call center employees that are all now dispersed, and bringing them together. Teams is a great platform for meetings and that type of stuff, but Yammer really brings people together. So those were kind of really creating that collaboration, that connection, that sense of community. Obviously, those were kind of the key tenets of our pitch to leadership to get it out the door. One question that always got asked 100,000 times was Teams versus Yammer. Well, why do we need Yammer? We have Teams. Teams is social, and it kind of is, but we had to put a bunch of stuff together about Teams versus Yammer, because that was the big question everyone asked. And it wasn't just leaders. I mean, everyone that didn't really know Yammer or understand Yammer is like, well, we have Teams. So we put together a lot of stuff. And the way I always explained it really to people was, I always looked at Teams as, that's your conference room. That's your, you've got the smaller teams, and you are going to work on a project, and you're kind of in that conference room with 10, 20 people. And then Yammer is the cafeteria. You've got hundreds or thousands of people coming together, and you're just having conversations, and you're really creating that community and having a good time. And that's kind of the way I explained it to a lot of people. So we also got the question, Comcast Now, which is our intranet. Well, what do you need another platform for if you got Comcast Now? That's where everyone goes. So it works in tandem. And Yammer is, you really have Comcast Now. Our intranet is the source of truth, but Yammer is that place where employees can go find that content in a different news feed kind of way, more casual feel, and then they can uncover the new communities, connect with new colleagues, etc. And as we're actually in the process right now of redoing our intranet from the ground up, and we're going on Office 365 with SharePoint. So really, as we reimagine our new intranet and how does that integrate with Yammer, Yammer is going to be a really big part of that. So the approach, now this is where it gets good. This is how did we do it? And how did we launch this stuff? So the approach we went with, a smaller pilot. It was with 10,000 people. I know for some people, 10,000 people, that's a lot of people, but that's 10% of our employee base. So we went with a small pilot. And for the pilot, we were really tactical with what communities we wanted to open up with and what are those pilot communities going to be, because we really wanted it, one, maximum impact, and we wanted it to be a success. So we really looked at those ERGs, those employee resource groups, because they have such a heavy presence here. We chose a couple of those, but they all had very active team spaces. So there was that piece where we really had to convince the ERGs themselves and the leadership, like, why do we want to move ERGs from a very successful public team space over to Yammer? So we actually we did a lot of number crunching, and it was, thank goodness for our interns, because we had to count team stuff by hand. But we ran both simultaneously, a Yammer group ERG and a Teams group, and we compared the numbers. And right in the early start, it was amazing. Yammer actually increased readership of the content by over 1,000%. And then as it slowly went down, but it stayed above 250% increase using Yammer over Teams. So it's very interesting to see the Yammer versus Teams and what's a more engaging platform. So we also created a few all-employee communities today at Comcast, which is kind of like our news and kind of overarching wellness. All Comcast, we called it, which was in place of the all-company feed. We actually don't use the all-company feed, with the exception of just for communications, kind of big announcements. And I can talk in a little later on why we chose to do that. But we had the 10,000 people. We licensed the entire company so we could actually have like organic growth going on. So if those 10,000 people, someone sent an email out to their friends that weren't in the pilot, they could actually join, which we did see a lot of organic growth, which was great. And then we created you see it right here, join the buzz, a lively kind of high energy visual campaign and communications plan to really get the excitement rolling. So the campaign itself, we tried to cover kind of all the bases in this campaign. So it's like the why Yammer, what's the positioning of Yammer at Comcast, the adoption approach, the Olympics activation, which we'll touch on in a bit, and just really create this high energy visual campaign to go with the launch of the pilot, which then when we get to the actual enterprise launch, we'll explain a different route that we took, which was very interesting and worked out really well. But we really did a lot of training with community owners. We had tons of champions. We really did a lot of work on getting all of the groups and the communities that we created having a massive champion set of champions, I should say. And that was Kirsten's doing. And actually on that, I'm going to let Kirsten take it from here on kind of this approach with the campaign and what we did there.
Great. Thanks, Chris. So, sorry, I heard an echo. So as we started the pilot, and actually even before the pilot started, we worked really closely with our community owners and champions to not only offer training sessions to them, but a lot of white glove kind of consults with them so that they would, number one, once we were past the, why teams or why Yammer when we already have teams, once we made it past that conversation, we really focused on working with them on engagement and trying to learn how to keep their communities active. So I'm going to move on to the next slide. Can we jump to the next one, Chris? Once the pilot had wrapped, we kept a lot of the training materials and the recordings of the training sessions and made them available to all the employees once we launched enterprise-wide. In addition to that, we had a lot of handouts such as FAQs, best practices, and how-to guides that would kind of help not only community owners and champions, but employees as well. But the real game changer for us was this over on the right, the Yammer 101 community, which was open to all employees. Anyone could drop in here, ask questions, ask for help. And as every community does, we were kind of crowdsourcing answers, which is wonderful. But it also gave our team an opportunity to see or identify people that really could use maybe a consult instead of just like a quick answer to something. So we would proactively reach out to people if they had a more complicated question and work with them to build up their community. The Yammer 101 community, the other thing it did for us, which I think really made a difference for our team, was it established our team, our employee comms digital team, as the go-to Yammer team, right? So instead of like with a lot of other applications, people have to, if they're having an issue, they have to go to IT, put in a ticket, ask for help that way. Our team kind of became the go-to group for Yammer, whether it was questions, whether it was help needed, they would reach out to us, and they felt, we're seeing now that they're feeling comfortable when we proactively reach out to them and make recommendations and things like that. So during the consults, and we're continuing to do these on a weekly basis, meeting with people, especially new community owners who kind of want advice, and we really focus on engagement in those conversations. Some of the recommendations we make are like for new community owners, creating a social media calendar, creating posts ahead of time, so that, and then assigning, multiple champions within each community to post at various times throughout the week or the month. We're working with them also to embed Yammer embed feeds over into our intranet pages, so that say there's some big announcement or a competition that we have a news article about on our intranet. There's always a complimentary post over on Yammer about it, but we also pull the embed feed into the news page so that we can get people comfortable with going back and forth between the two platforms. And then the other thing, and I think I saw this in this question in an earlier session, encouraging the use of hashtags, topics, and following. So a lot of people, they understand that you have to follow a community and that's how you get information from that community. But I think the following people is fairly new. I think it's in the last 6 to 9 months. So we're teaching people about the value of that. And as Steve mentioned in the chat, the power of discovery, right? So the more people and communities and topics you're following, the more information you're gonna see, the more information becomes visible. So we've really been focusing on those features as well, so that people continue to learn about all the things that a community can do. I think that's it. Chris, do you want to take it from here?
Absolutely. So for the enterprise launch, which went out to just under 100,000 people, we created all these assets and we had all this information, and for the pilot, we launched it as, we're launching Yammer, this internal social network. But for the larger launch, we decided to take a different path. We're going to still use the assets that we created because they're all high energy. But rather than kind of, standing up a campaign to go out that we're launching this social platform, we had the Olympics coming. And, we're heavily involved in the Olympics. We're NBC Universal. So we use the Olympics as the springboard to launch Yammer. So we really didn't launch Yammer as launching Yammer. We launched the Olympics and pushed all of the Olympics content onto Yammer. So all the Olympic stuff was on Yammer, and everyone went to Yammer and discovered Yammer for themselves. And that really took off. So it was a really interesting approach, and it really paid off in the long run. So, because I honestly thought after the Olympics activation, we'd see a slowdown, because everyone's going to go on there for the Olympics, have a great time. And I thought, this was in July and August, and I thought it would slow down. And I'm very happily, I was mistaken. So I'm going to just talk a little bit about the numbers, which blow me away. So as of right now, I actually checked the numbers this morning, and we're at 6.8 million activities since launch. So that's a lot of activity. For up here with July, August, September, October, That is our percentage of the company that's actually actively engaged. October was when I saw 56%. Wow, holy cow, that's 56, almost 57,000 employees. November just came in, and although very interesting, November, we had 44% active engagement. So we saw about 44,000 active employees, but our activities broke another record. We've done 6 months in a row, and we hit over 1.5 million activities just in November. So it's been booming. So really exciting stuff. Just a couple bullet points. Today at Comcast, that's kind of our main channel that everyone goes to. Again, all of our ERGs are on there. ERGs are very engaging. NED, that's our Northeast division. They launched a division-wide community, and it's driving great engagement. And that's something that's really, I think, helping with all these numbers is we've really gotten out there. And as Kirsten was saying, we're working with all these community owners, and they're excited about it, and they're driving engagement. And just having all the engagement from all the different parts of the company is just driving the numbers. There's a great mix of business communities versus communities of interest. And then this was a big one for our leaders, which is why I put it on here. There's a lot of, at least for our leaders, they're very worried about, you know, is it going to be professional? Are there going to be comments that we have to delete? Or, you know, they're worried about that type of stuff since it's two-way, it's social. But all of the content, the user-generated content and commenting that's been going on since launch has been really professional. We've had no issues to report. Everyone, it's been really great. So fantastic numbers. I'm super excited because it just keeps going up, 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 and up. And like with November, seeing the 1.5 million activities, that's with Thanksgiving thrown in there. So I was like, wow, I expected it to go down. So truly exciting. So couple examples. I love this because it's like a couple different things here. We have like on the far left, which is our Sing contest, which is business. You can see almost 26,000 views so far. In the middle, I love this. This is personal. Josh is great. He climbed Mount St. Helens last week and had 4 bars of Xfinity Mobile. And so he called his parents from the top of the mountain, and he took a picture of it and posted it on Yammer. And that's got over 25,000. And then Sarah it was her, I believe when she posted this, it was her second day at work. And over 30,000 welcomes, hellos, and well, I shouldn't say over 30,000, read 30,000 times, but I mean, over 100 comments, over 300 likes, just great stuff to really build that. And she's super excited to be at Comcast. So, this is a little video, and I think we have like 1 minute. I won't show the whole thing. It's only a minute video, but this literally popped into our feeds last week from Stephen. I'm just gonna name him because Stephen Cunningham from our Central Division. He just popped this. He created this video. We saw it. We're like, what on earth is this? This is awesome. So I'm gonna see. You should have sound. I have it enabled. I won't play the whole thing, but obviously I'm not gonna play anything because it's not gonna play. Here we go.
Stop. Hammer time. Go with the flow. It is said if you can't prove it, you probably are dead. So wave your hands in the air. Bust you. Run your fingers to your hair. This is it. For a winner, dance to this when your opponent gets scared to move. Slide your up. Just for a minute. Let's all do the bump. Yeah. Can't touch this.
Anyway, I just wanted to play a little bit of that because he created that. It really goes through all of the communities, what you can do in there. Just fantastic stuff because he's so excited that, that Yammer is out. So that's the presentation. I think we ended right on time, hopefully. So on that note, I just want to thank Kai, the SWOOP team, Steve, and the Microsoft team for inviting us. This is fantastic that we can be here. I love this stuff. Having a great time with Yammer, and thank you all.